combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we are here with another Jimmy Rants episode that's very prescient with what's happening in the news, and we'll get to that here in just a moment. If you're brand new to Jimmy Rants, go to JimmyRants.com, and there you see how this show works. What we do is we start off on Instagram Live, and I talk to the peoples there that follow me. Livin' Low Carb Man is how you can find me on Instagram. LIVINLOWCARBMAN, and then you can see it on replay for 24 hours on Instagram. We also put it on YouTube, so if you type in Jimmy Rants into a YouTube search, you should be able to find the show, and then the all-new Jimmy Rants podcast, which is available wherever you listen to podcasts. JimmyRants.com is the website. If you can't remember all that, we put it all in one place just for you. So guys, today's Jimmy Rants is all about something that's making news today. So I don't know if you've heard it or not, but one of the big companies in the paleo keto world just sold their company to Kraft Foods. So did you hear about this? Kraft, who has been well known for their American cheese, which is crap, by the way, don't ever eat that. They have a whole bunch of brands, let's put it that way. Kraft is one of the big boys in the food industry, and they have plopped down $200 million to purchase the company called Primal Nutrition. Now, Primal Nutrition was started 3 years ago by a friend of mine named Mark Sisson. He's the guy behind the Primal Blueprint, and he's done all kinds of concepts. Really nice guy, too, by the way. I know him personally. We talk on the phone quite a bit, pretty often, and he's a very savvy businessman. So when he created Primal Kitchen, he wanted to create condiments that would be healthy options for people trying to eat better and use healthier fats. So a lot of the mayonnaises and a lot of the ketchups and a lot of the dressings, salad dressings and things like that, all contained inferior fats. In the salad dressing and mayo, they use soybean oil and cottonseed oil, just really horrible fats for you, that very inflammatory fats. So he decided, why don't we put avocado oil into these dressings and mayonnaises? And then he just released a ketchup recently, which has no sugar in it, and most ketchups have high fructose corn syrup. So all of that to say, it's legit. And the consumers in the paleo world, in the primal world, in the ketogenic, low-carb, clean eating world, all gobbled up these products from Primal Kitchen to the tune of, they're estimating $50 million in sales this year, which ain't chump change. So that caught the attention of Kraft, and Mark Sisson was approached by them, and they made their offer. And I know, knowing Mark, I know he made sure that if we're going to do this deal, I'm good with it, but you have to hold true to the standards of why we started the company. Because why he started the company was to be an alternative to a lot of the stuff that Kraft has put out, to be honest. A lot of the Kraft products use very cheap materials, which is what the soybean oil is, what the high fructose corn syrup is. That's why they put them in the products. It has nothing to do with your health. It has everything to do with profit margin. And so even the so-called mayonnaises and things that have avocado, they'll sometimes say made with avocado on the front, but then you turn it on the back and the first ingredient is still soybean oil. And you go, okay, you put a little bit of avocado oil in it, so you could put made with avocado oil, but it's primarily made with soybean oil. And yet they don't put that on there. So kudos to Kraft for recognizing, number one, they've lost hand over fist this year of what they're worth because people aren't buying that crap anymore. But kudos to them for recognizing a company like Primal Kitchen that can provide a slate of products that would be legit, and that people would love, and people do love because they're buying it. Now, the concern anytime something like this happens, and we saw it several years ago with this company called Epic. So maybe you've heard of Epic bars. They're the meat bars, and they have various flavors of meat bars. Epic got sold to a big boy as well. And everybody at the time, I think it was Kellogg's or something, everybody at the time had a hissy fit about it. Oh my gosh, look, Epic Bar sold out. And Epic Bar, they're going to change the bar, and they're going to just ruin the company. And how could they do this all at the altar of money? And I said, hold your horses, guys. Don't we often talk about how we wish there was more availability of good quality foods and products on store shelves? Don't we talk about that literally all the time? Don't we wish there was better options for us to help us stick with our healthy goals? You know how that happens? It happens with distribution. How do you get distribution? You go with companies that can get you the distribution. Now, Mark Sisson did a really great job with Primal Kitchen getting distribution in a lot of places, even some Costco's before Kraft even took it over. Some Costco's were carrying it on the West Coast. But we should not poo-poo that. And here's what happened with Epic. That was about 4 years ago when that happened. They sold the company, and the guys, again, very ethical in how they ran the business. And they're like, look, don't change what we've done here. Why don't we make it more available, though? And so that's what this company that bought them did, and gave them distribution. And do you know today you can get Epic bars in a 7-Eleven store? There's a 7-Eleven right over there. I could go and buy Epic bars today as a direct result of them selling the company to the bigger company that could give them distribution. We saw the same thing with the Quest bars, which they're not necessarily keto, but they're a better option than a lot of the things that are out there. That company sold for $400 million to an investor that could give them great distribution, and they got it, and they're out there, and it's available. And so now with Primal Kitchen being bought out, and the final details of this will be hashed out in the first quarter of next year, but this means, you guys, this is great news in as much as we'll now see Primal Kitchen mayo on store shelves. There's a grocery store right there here locally where I live, and they will probably start carrying it. Why? Because Kraft has an established relationship for distribution. And if they say, hey, look, we've got this new product. I know you've had people asking about avocado mayo. We have a great one. And here's the other thing. As a consumer, the price is going to go down. If you've tried to buy Primal Kitchen mayo, it's about $12 for a little jar. I wouldn't be surprised if they get it down to $8 and maybe even less. But it will be a good thing in the end. And people get all upset because, well, these companies should stay small so they stay true to their original mission. And I agree that they need to stay true to their original mission. But I think in the contract, when they sell these companies like this, they probably put parameters in there of, don't call it Primal Nutrition, don't call it Primal Kitchen if you're going to change things. If you start putting soybean oil in it again, we won't be happy about that. And if there's legal documentation that prevents them from doing that, I know Mark Sisson well enough. He probably has that in writing somehow. So I believe we're going to see integrity in the products. It will continue. I'm sure they'll continue to have a lot of the staff that created Primal Kitchen still working, still doing the day-to-day operation of it. This is nothing but a good thing. So when you hear this news today, and you're going to hear probably people within the keto and paleo and primal community maybe up in arms. Oh my gosh, look at Mark Sisson. He sold out because Kraft bought Primal Nutrition. It's not a bad thing. This is what we've been looking for, guys. And until one of our people, one of our companies gets to the point where they have enough money to be able to get the distribution that they need without some of these big boys, this is what's going to have to happen. And a lot of these companies, here's the other thing, the crappy garbage companies are losing money hand over fist. I mean, bad. Kraft, just this year alone, I think I was reading in the news story about this, they've lost 25% of their worth just this year. They're losing sales because people aren't buying the crap anymore. So if they gobble up the good ones, like Primal Kitchen, we should be celebrating that at least now they're changing their business model to offer better products for us, the consumer. That will be nothing but a good thing, because lower prices, and if somebody bought Primal Kitchen, somebody else is going to try to mimic the products that Primal Kitchen has from another company, and it's going to be competition, which will make prices better. All around, this is nothing but a good thing. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Hello, Kimberly. Kaizen Chick, what? Is this true? They're a sellout from Safe Oils to Kraft. So, Kaizen Kitch, I hope you heard my whole rant, because I don't agree with that. And again, I think I know Sisson well enough that he's probably not going to, he probably in the wording of the sale said, don't change the formulation or this is null and void and we take back over the company. I guarantee you there's some kind of something like that in writing. And plus, these companies are now beginning to realize that the free pass that they've gotten for years is gone. They're no longer going to get away with putting soybean oil and stuff. They're no longer going to get away with putting high fructose corn syrup and stuff. That's why they're losing money, and they're desperately trying to shift. You see Coca-Cola doing the same thing. They're shifting over to bottled water and flavored waters, and they're trying desperately to shift their business model because people ain't buying the sugary swill anymore. And don't be surprised if in the next year or two, we see other companies that are now your favorites in the keto world maybe getting bought out as well. I think about the Drop and F-Bomb people. They have a product that's got really great distribution. I would not be surprised if one of the big boy companies picks them up and they sell their company to some big boy company. But again, you have to trust the people that started these small businesses. They started them because the food industry wasn't filling the niche that they're filling. So, going into these structurings of these deals, they're going to do all they can to protect what they've built. Didn't care for Primal for the most part, but now I definitely won't trust the integrity of that product. Maybe. I mean, I understand that, Beth. I definitely understand people that think they've sold out, but hopefully I've given you a little bit of a different perspective on this here today. Kimberly Jackson Simmons, I'm sure if he had this idea that has caught on, who is to say he doesn't have a plan for something new on the horizon? Maybe the world is waking up. And I'm always I'm an ideas guy. So I'm always thinking of new ideas. I haven't gotten into the product development. That's just not been my jam. I'd rather write books and rather put out content that's more media focused than product focused. But I don't blame people that have ideas and want to see them to fruition. What you guys don't know is Mark Sisson had to put a ton of upfront money out of his own pocket to start Primal Kitchen. And it was thanks to the sales of his book, Primal Blueprint, that he had enough capital that he could start this. And he had a vision. He knew that there would be a market for people wanting to buy a healthier version of mayonnaise. It's made with avocado oil. Yes, you can make it on your own, but a lot of people want that convenience of being able to pick up a jar. And yes, the jars were much smaller than the Kraft mayonnaises that you can buy in the store. And they were double, sometimes triple the cost of those cheaper versions made with the soybean oil. But the fact that they've sold so well is proof positive that it's not about making it more of a value, but more readily available, which is what Mark Sisson did. It's why his company started just in 2015. 3 years they built this to a $50 million sale company. That's a huge accomplishment. He definitely tapped into a market that was desperately looking for the products that they had to offer. We've seen this time and time again what Big Food does. It would take a whole lot to convince me to buy it now. Well, Beth, I hope everything I've said here today gets you to start thinking that this is more of a good thing in the end than a bad thing. Bullock in 2018, Kraft trying to eliminate their competition. Yeah, there is an argument to be said that that this would be competition for what Kraft sells already. But I would even say this: the people that buy Kraft mayonnaise, for example, or Kraft salad dressings, which there's a ton of them, I don't think those people care about the Primal Kitchen stuff, and the Primal Kitchen people wouldn't dare touch any of that other stuff. So I think in the end, I mean, they'll profit from this, obviously, of the people who don't want to have soybean oil in their diet. So it's nothing but a good thing for Kraft. So don't get me wrong. They didn't plop down $200 million for no good reason. They plopped it down because they saw that they could get both the people that want the crap oils and the people that want the healthy oils. And from a business perspective, I get that. And that's a smart decision on their part. But to my knowledge, and what I'm trying to communicate here is whatever you choose to do, at least now we'll have availability of these on store shelves, whereas it's been very difficult to find before. Bio Individual says the RX bars is another example. Yeah, anything that has caught on and done well as a small company eventually gets bought out by a bigger company. And I think the fears that we have because of all the negativity around big food, and trust me, I'm one of the biggest anti-big food people, they've all been predicated in the past on, look at all the crappy garbage they keep pumping out with big food. But if they're buying up healthier companies and making available Epic bars and Quest bars and now the Primal Kitchen products, I see this as nothing but a move in the right direction of what we've been trying to have happen all along. Paula Johnson, 61, they will raise the price and use cheap ingredients even if it's in the contract. I'm not holding much faith, hoping I'm wrong. Paula, I think you are wrong, with all due respect, and I do think that there will be parameters. Again, I know Mark Sisson very well. I've known the guy since 2008, and he is as savvy a businessman as I've ever met, and he has integrity with what he's doing. So I hear what you're saying, and I get the sentiment, but I don't think he would just willy-nilly sell the company and let them take his branding to pot. Because here's the thing. We saw what happened when the Atkins company got bought out. So everybody knows about like Atkins bars and shakes. And back in the day, it used to be owned by Dr. Atkins. Well, he sold the company way back in like 2002 or 3. And he didn't put parameters in there of what they could and could not do with his products. So what did they do? Over the years, they've changed the formulation. They've added in more products, and they've added in more fiber, and they've taken out the fat, and they've added in more protein, and they ruined the brand of Atkins by doing that. And so people see, oh, Atkins bars and shakes, they're horrible, so that Atkins diet is horrible, and it's totally tainted the Atkins name. Well, I don't see that same thing happening with Primal Kitchen, because Mark Sissons made a whole business all around this concept of primal. In fact, the little caveman guy that's jumping in the air with a spear as his logo, that will be on the product. And so I don't think he would allow his branding to get tarnished like that. So let's play a wait and see attitude before we have a knee-jerk reaction of what we think might happen. You're making me feel better. Good, Case and Chick. That was the whole point of doing this, because when I saw this cross the wires today, I knew there would be people that would be up in arms about it and not seeing the brighter side of what's happening here today. All right, welcome in, welcome in. If you're just joining us, Kraft Foods is buying Primal Kitchen. And Primal Kitchen is a subset of Primal Nutrition that Mark Sisson started, has all those mayonnaises and dressings that so many people in the keto world love. So we're discussing whether this is a good or a bad thing for keto. And I'm making the argument that it's a very good thing in the long run, because we've been begging companies to be able to have more distribution and readily available in stores. Now it's going to happen thanks to Kraft buying the Primal Kitchen. Vision. Yes, Kimberly. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Just saw on Mark Sisson's page that Primal Foods Kitchen was acquired by Kraft, but will remain autonomous in production. That's great. Yes, that's the other thing that happens, you guys, that even though they get bought out by the bigger boys, they still keep on as the infrastructure of a subset of Kraft. They'll still keep on Primal Kitchen staff because they will hold true to the integrity of the product. They've been the ones involved over the past few years, and so thus that's another thing that gives me great hope and promise that this ain't going anywhere. It's not going to change. And it's simply going to give Mark and the team more distribution and more flexibility with the marketing. We might even see Primal Kitchen television ads. I would not be surprised, you guys. How cool would it be if Kraft wants to roll this out and they're like, oh, now we have Primal Kitchen. You can get your avocado mayo, and you see that on television. You know, I remember the first time we saw on a Super Bowl ad the avocados from Mexico. I had an ad a couple of years ago on the Super Bowl, and I'm going, whoa! Out of nowhere, we're starting to see a lot of these companies, and Pistachio Company does those kind of ads, and we're going to see more and more of this kind of thing, and you have to be okay with that. You have to realize, and I know we're all jaded, that big food has ruined a lot of our health, and so we have a lot of animosity towards them. I get all of that. But if they're willing to take on good quality companies like a Primal Kitchen, I don't think we should be upset about that. I don't think we should dismiss that as, well, they're just going to ruin the company. Let's see. Let's see what happens. I'm keeping an open mind. Trust but verified. Read the labels. Nancy, Virginia Beach, you are spot on. All right, guys, that is it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. Again, Kraft Foods buys Primal Kitchen. And is it a good or a bad thing? I make the argument that in the long run, it's going to be a very good thing, especially for the cause of those of us who eat a low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic diet. So be encouraged today, you guys. Definitely share this with people that might share on social media. I'm going to try to get it up on YouTube as soon as possible so you can share this with people, because I know it's going to be causing a tizzy in the keto world today. But that's it. JimmyRants.com is the website. Pop on over to Instagram and follow me there, Living Low Carb Man. You can watch me live as I do these. It's up there for 24 hours on Instagram. Then it's on YouTube. And then we have an all-new Jimmy Rants podcast, all the places that you listen to podcasts. JimmyRants.com. And until next time, we'll see you then.